on, guys? Welcome back to the Trench Grenade channel. Today I'm going to give you guys some rifle advice that you probably don't want to hear. A lot of you guys are going to get very emotional about today's topic, and that's okay. The important part is that I educate you enough so you can make an educated decision. You don't just go into this blindly, okay? So today we're going to talk about rifle builds and rifle advice that you don't want to hear. Before we get too far into it, you are going to have to deal with a little bit of Mustang background noise. I am going to the gym. It is my day off, and I'm not going to stop my plans just because a lot of guys are making bad decisions in building and buying rifles, okay? So deal with Mustang noise, that's okay. If you guys want to support the channel, there'll be links down below to the Patreon and to Mystery Ranch. If you guys want to buy a bag, I recommend their Assault 48-hour bag. That's going to be what's going to get you, keep you alive and help keep you alive in any sort of realistic situation, or if you just need it for a ruck or whatever. Okay, so to start this off, I have to do what I don't like to do, is talk about myself just very briefly to tell you guys where I'm coming from when it comes to your rifle builds. So, been in the Army for 12 years. Infantry, active duty the entire time, airborne, qualified, and I've been mech as well. All that really doesn't matter. What does matter is the amount of people that I have been able to train, okay, as a primary instructor during that 12-year period. Now, as many of you guys know, the past 2 years I have been a drill sergeant and a drill sergeant leader. All that means is I've had 9 groups of people, 9 cycles of 200 people or more come through and conduct 2 rifle marksmanship tables per cycle. All right, so 9 times 2 is 18. All right, and I will just do some rough math. If each trainee shoots about 1,000 to 1,200 rounds individually, and there's 200 of them, you guys will have to do the math on the amount of rounds I directly instruct and supervise of how many times people are pulling the trigger in training to kill another individual, right? You got to think, before this past 2 years, or 2.5 years, I've been in infantry NCO for a decade. That means I've conducted team live fire, squad live fire, platoon live fire every year minimum, and 1 rifle qual. So 4 things minimum every year. That's not to include any schools, any advanced marksmanship courses, any AMU training, any rifle competitions or pistol competitions, of which I've won many, or any private USPSA lessons or competitions or shoot steel matches. So I say all that not to toot my own horn. I say all that to tell you where my basis of information is coming from. And it's through a ton of rounds, like probably over 1 million rounds, easily actually, supervised or fired personally, whether it be through rifle, handgun, shotgun, or machine gun, grenade launchers, etc. All right, so I say all that to say I've seen a lot of stuff work and I've seen a lot of stuff break, both professionally and privately. And I think you guys are being misled when it comes to what rifle you need to defend yourself and your family, right? And a lot of guys are going to get in the comment section and they're going to say, I'm bashing poor people. I'm not. I am an enlisted soldier that runs a part-time YouTube channel on the side. I am the definition of a poor person, right? I have had to work for everything I have in my life. So before you go in the comments and say that you're poor and you can't afford X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to listen to that. You need to go out and work and go out and make money and make it happen, okay? So before you get in the comments and say you're poor and you can't afford it and you have 15 kids and all your kids have horrible, illnesses and whatever is going on, like, yeah, I get it, dude. Everyone's situation is different, but you have to prioritize where your money is going, okay? All right, here, let's talk about the rifle builds. So I want to talk about Aero Precision, Palmetto State Armory, and Anderson. Any of those brands that I just named are not acceptable fighting rifle brands. Why? And a lot of you guys are going to hear Aero Precision. You're going to think, but Trench, the Reddit post says I can get a Aero Precision lower and it's going to be the best lower for the money. That's just false, right? That is a intro, as my camera is going crazy here, that is an entry level option, the Aero Precision lower. Let's talk about those 3 brands very briefly. They are made out of poor parts, right? If you're actually using the gun, you're not going to be able to train with those guns and actually surpass 2,000 or 3,000 rounds, okay? The guns are going to break. Something in the gun is going to break. You're going to shoot out the barrels. I could go on a long litany of issues, but the barrel quality, the build quality, the bolt carrier groups, everything with these guns of the Aero Precision, PSA, Anderson, any of these budget companies, they're cutting corners to be able to put rifles, that's a loose term, to be able to put guns in more people's hands, okay? So I do not recommend you go out and get an Aero or go out and get a freaking PSA as a rifle to defend yourself. It's just not sound advice. And it does not matter if you're balling on a budget. Guess what? You need to, and this is not going to surprise anybody, buy a Glock 19. Carry the Glock 19 and save up your money until you can get at a minimum. This is the minimum requirement, I think, would be an FN or a Colt government M4A1 copy, right? That's going to be about $1,000, but that's like an asterisk. That's not even where I would really recommend you start investing. The real entry point for a serious rifle is BCM, right? BCM is going to be where things start to get real, not all this budget crap, right? Now, a lot of guys are going to get in the comments. They're going to say that they haven't had any issues with their Aero. That's the biggest one, the biggest offender, right? Of the poverty ponies is Aero Precision. People like to defend their Aero Precisions for some reason, whatever. And people like to defend their PSAs. Guys, the gun's going to run reliably when you don't shoot more than 200 rounds a year. And let's say you're shooting 1,000 rounds a year. When you're not pushing the gun and actually training with it, all you're doing is bench resting it. You're barely getting the guns hot. You're barely doing anything. You're not suppressing them. When you put the gun in a closet and then you go online and say, I built my AR for $250 or something crazy, and you're talking about why this is the best gun in the world, it's not. It's not the best gun in the world. It's barely even classified as a rifle, right? So the entry level would be BCM. If you guys are watching this and you're like, I'm going to get serious about my build and I'm going to actually, save my money, get a good rifle. And then you're looking at optic choice, because don't even get me started on optic choice, because a lot of you guys are running horrible optics, right? You guys know my opinion on optics. Aimpoint, Trijicon, EOTech. Aimpoint, Trijicon, EOTech. And nowhere in there did I say primary arms. Nowhere in there did I say anything else. Okay? So Aimpoint, Trijicon, EOTech. That's where I recommend you guys get started for sure in optic selection. That's a whole nother video. But to kind of round this up, to kind of give you a summary, stop defending companies just because you can spend $500, $600, $700 on a rifle and think you're good to go. Those guns are going to break. And if you haven't gotten to the point where you've broken your PSA, then that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. But what I'm telling you is, when you go out and actually train with the gun, if you're trying to get better and trying to actually use this thing seriously, you should not be settling for the lowest bidder. And what Palmetto State Armory, Anderson, Aero Precision, even their freaking lowers from Aero, what those companies are offering you is the lowest bidder. They're offering you the poverty pony budget build trash. Now, if you think your life is worth trash, then yeah, go get a freaking budget, a poverty pony, slap that thing together, put your 55 grain, Wolf ammo in that thing, get a bunch of stuck casings, break your bolt, have your bolts shear off. That's what happens with the freaking Aeros. The bolts just literally shear off the locking lugs, okay? Shoot out the barrels, and hey, when you have to go back and you try to sell that thing to get something better, do not come into the comments section of this channel and be like, oh, Trench, you were right. My PSA broke. My Aero broke. Yes, I know it broke. It's because I have seen this. I watch the good guns. I watch Daniel Defenses. I watch freaking Knights Armament. I watch the new FN barrels get shot out, right? I watch the upper end of barrels get shot out. And you guys are talking about the lower end getting shot out. So again, not to toot my own horn, because my ego is not in the fight. What I'm really concerned about is you guys getting told hey, you can go get an arrow and it's just as good. It's not just as good. It's trash. It's freaking trash. And it could potentially cost you your life, okay? So, to summarize everything, BCM entry is like where you should be at. If you can't afford a BCM, get a Glock 19 and carry that thing, put a white light on it for home defense, and use that Glock 19 until, and I didn't say dagger. That's a whole nother argument. I did not say dagger. I didn't say Canic. I didn't say Taurus. I said Glock. Glock 19, Gen 3. There you go. Buy one of those. Use that gun. Use that Glock until you can finally afford to get that BCM. And when you get that BCM, put a quality sling, a surefire white light on it, get a good optic, whatever you want, okay? You can get it, if you're going to get an LPVO, get something that's quality. Don't go for a freaking Strike Eagle or whatever the lowest, thing you can get your hands on some budget deal. Get a quality Vortex, like a PST, or get a quality freaking optic, right? But don't go out and buy the lowest bidder thing and then complain on or defend it online because you got it for a cheap price and you're like, they're pro Second Amendment. No, they're not pro Second Amendment. They're pro putting guns in your hand, as many people's hands as they can. That way they can move product. These companies that I'm naming, it's nothing personal against them, but don't try to sit here and pretend like they're trying to put guns in your hand because they care about you. They don't care about you, because I've had a ton of these things break and I had to learn the hard way, right? Because spoiler alert, most soldiers are not gun guys. I'm just one of the very few, right? So I've walked this path. I've seen guns break. And if I could go back in time, I would save myself a lot of heartbreak on a lot of crappy guns, and I would have just bought a damn Knight's Armament right off the rip. Whenever I could afford it, I would have saved my pennies up. I would have only bought Glock, and that would have been it, right? And this is just because I know what works and I know what doesn't. And what doesn't work is the lowest crappy build. Even though the internet tells you that a freaking arrow is good, they're wrong. The internet, most of the internet, if you look at anything that I've ever put out on how many rounds people are shooting, they're not even shooting. So at that point, it could be a tin can shaped as a rifle, and that's what a lot of you guys are defending with your PSAs is, hey, I got a $500 Freedom build. It's like, yeah, you got a crappy freaking rifle, dude, and it's gonna die after 1,000 rounds, but hey, good luck, okay? All right. I think I've ranted enough at you guys. It drives me crazy to see you guys getting ripped off and see you guys defend these companies that don't care about you, right? Let's talk about the higher end quality control. Daniel Defense, you have an issue, they'll send you a new one. Hey, tell me what's going wrong, I'll send you a new bolt carrier group. Tell me what's going wrong, send me your upper, I'll send you a brand new one. New barrel, no big deal, right? As long as you didn't do something stupid to deliberately break the gun, there you go. BCM, same thing. If the gun dies, hey dude, take this new bolt carrier group, give me that old one. Glock, you get a Glock, you're good to go. You get a dagger and the sights fall off after 200 rounds, that's a you problem, right? And yes, I had that happen. All right, so guys, in summary, I'm done ranting at you. Please, whatever you decide to buy, that's you and your decision, right? Whatever financial situation you think you're in, however many, if you got 1,000 kids and you got all this stuff going on and you can't afford one gun, well, I probably would recommend you save your pennies and get a gun that's going to be worth your investment, because you're not going to be able to resell a PSA, because no one's going to buy a PSA unless you lie to them and tell them it's something else and they don't know what they're buying. No one's ever going to buy a freaking arrow unless they've been on the Reddit too long, and then they're thinking that, oh, some dumbass YouTuber said that they could buy an arrow and it's just as good. It's not. It's trash. Okay? So buy something that's good, and whatever you buy, if you know it's budget and you know it's trash, don't go online saying it's just as good. It's not. It's not just as good. It's freaking trash. You know it's trash. I know it's trash. I'm telling you it's trash. Don't go online and say, hey, my crappy optic, whatever, that I bought for $100 broke, but it's just as good as an aim point. It's not. It's not, dude. Okay? So be real with yourselves. Take a minute. look at your safe, if you even have a safe. If you don't, look in your closet. Buy a safe, by the way. Look in your closet at all your budget builds, all your crappy rifles. My recommendation, you try to get as much money out of those freaking trash rifles as you can. You go out, you get something quality. I don't care what brand you buy. I have no loyalty to any of these freaking brands. But what I do have loyalty is when it's the middle of the night and your poverty pony dies because you got it for a $500 freaking deal. Well, guess what? You're not going to be able to blame me. I'm telling you today. I'm telling you right now. If you freaking if you can't get enough pennies together to get a quality gun, that's a you problem. Okay? You got to make some money. You got to make it happen. You got to prioritize your funds where you need to. Don't get up in my comment section saying it's either food or a gun. Okay, well, I would understand that if you were 18 years old and for some reason you weren't working in high school and, you didn't have a father figure in your life, and no one told you, hey, son, you need to save your money. You need to work hard. You need to not blow money on freaking dope and beer and waste money on whatever you're wasting it on now. All your video games and your Minecrafts. You need to freaking save your money. You need to work hard and buy quality products. Don't go out here and buy trash and expect to freaking hit the moon. You're not gonna shoot for the stars and hit the moon when you buy a freaking arrow and it dies on you, okay? It's not gonna happen. It's not how the world works. You're not gonna go out here and put a bunch of ceramic, tiles together and pretend like you're wearing level 4 plates. That's not how this works. You buy it and it's good, or you buy it and it's trash. Period. Okay, hopefully this helps somebody. If you guys are super emotional in the comments, that's a you problem. I'm trying to save your life. I'm not trying to move any product. I just don't want you guys to get ripped off by these companies out here that are trying to put as many of their items into people's hands to move product. Okay, that's all they're doing. They're trying to move product, and some of you guys have been bamboozled by these companies. Okay, all right, guys. I hope this helps. If you want to support the channel, get down below. And until next time, it's gonna be Trench Grenade, your average poverty pony hater that your mom says we have at home, signing out. Cheers.